Hello, everyone. My name is Thurston Howl. I am a writer in Burnt Fir, and I'm going to read to you a little bit of my story, Five Nights with Teddy, just as a little sneak peek. So, this story largely came out of the realization that furry, as a culture, as a fandom, as a community, is all about wish fulfillment. It's all about, I have this identity I wish I could be physically. And here's all the art I have of my character, or here's all the stories I have featuring my character, my fursona. And I took this idea, mixed it with the video game franchise Five Nights at Freddy's, as well as the old horror movie Tusk. So please enjoy this first section of Five Nights with Teddy. Thanks. I'd heard whispers of the place for months. A guy who could really turn you into your fursona. I wasn't what's called a Therian. I didn't believe I was a cow or a pig or anything like that, but I still wanted to be my fursona. I hated the way I looked. Too big, too hairy, my eyes crossed, and my dick was a meager 4 inches. My fursona, on the other hand, or paw, was Adonis. You know, if Adonis was an anthropomorphic wolf. I looked down at the map on my phone to make sure this was the right place. Yeah, it was. This decrepit warehouse was it. Might have been part of a factory at one point, but now all the windows were boarded, with yellow caution tape around all the doors. Even the parking lot was mostly just a pile of rubble, the street lights once pooling amber light over it, but now those too were dim. But there, in a far corner of the building, there was a light on. I was expected. I swallowed nervously before turning off the car and getting out. I left my phone there, but brought my keys and wallet with me. The only other thing I had with me was the picture of my fursona. It was a muscly gray wolf with stark white eyes, not even any irises or pupils. It was a nude reference sheet, so the character's knotted cock hung a good 10 inches. I had sent the mysterious Teddy a couple of images already, but he had asked that I bring the printed sheet too, something he could put up as a reference while he worked on me. 5 nights with him, and my dreams could come true. 5 nights with him, and I could actually be Dante. By the time I made it over the piles of rubble to the entrance nearest the light, I was exhausted. I knocked twice on the door and waited. Rather than Teddy coming to the door just opened. I heard a voice from the light behind the boarded entrance. "You can duck under the boards. Come on in, Dante." My heart leaped at the use of my furry name. I gathered my wits and crouched as low as I could, barely squeezing under the boards and making it out to the other side. The room was small. Loose fur covered the floor. The walls were yellow with large holes here and there, leading to other darkened rooms. The place smelled oddly sterile. In the back was a hospital bed, and sitting beside that was a bear. Now, I'm not talking about a guy with a comical bear fursuit. I mean, it looked like an actual bear. I jumped back, and then the bear opened its mouth. Surprised, it said, "I'm Teddy." My jaw hung there for a moment before I stepped forward, pointing a finger at him. I look that realistic?" The bear grunted. "Wow," I said. While I liked many of the toonier fursuits, what attracted me most were the realistic ones, those that looked like what real anthropomorphic animals would look like if they were real. "You bring the ref sheet?" he asked, pointing to a cork board beside the bed. The board was empty except for a few colorful tacks pressed into it. Yeah." I came closer and offered the bear the sheet of paper. He looked it over for a few seconds before standing on his hind paws and pinning the sheet to the board. I admired my lupine body on the sheet. It had both my anthro form and my feral form. The former was sexy, the latter majestic, as any good wolf should be. "Great. Now first, you have the money, yeah?" My heart froze. Had I forgotten it? I pressed a hand against my back pocket and found my wallet. "Oh yeah, here." I handed him the $100 bills. I felt a lump in my throat at giving him so much money, way more than the cost of a fursuit. But if I looked as good as he did, boy would this be worth it. "Next," his growling voice said, "I need you to sign some paperwork." He handed me a small sheaf of papers, about 10 pages long. It was a contract. Most of it was disclaimers and liability clauses. Basically, if I wasn't happy with how I turned out, I couldn't ask for a refund or something like that. Or at least that's what the first couple of pages looked like. It seemed like basic stuff for something like this. I knew what I was getting into, and I couldn't hold him responsible for any accidents. I skipped through a few pages and signed the final page with the pen he offered, then handed it back to him. Teddy seemed like the kind of person I couldn't trust that much, granted. After all, how many anthro bears do most people know? But then again, I didn't trust most people anyway. But I had seen a couple of pictures of Teddy's patients. I knew he could do it. I'd spoken with old friends of his back before his transformation, and they attested to his good nature. I believed them. "Great. Lie on the bed." His voice was gruff, low and menacing. I did as he said and lay back on the bed. It was a firm mattress, far from comfortable, and I folded my hands over my stomach. Now what? Then he pulled a gas mask out from behind the head of the bed and pulled it over my face. "Now I need you to just breathe. Can you do that, Dante?" I smiled up at him and breathed. I felt the gas in my lungs instantly. This was much more potent than the stuff you get at the dentist. But even as my vision began to fade, I was aware of a detail I hadn't noticed before. The bear's face leaned closer, and I saw the stitches near his eye sockets, where the skin of a real bear had been sewn onto his human skin. But it was too late for my body to resist anymore, and my mind went screaming into the depths of darkness. I was only vaguely aware of my clothing being cut off my body next. And that's the first night. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you check out the whole book. Bye.